Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline Live in the BPTV studios. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. And thanks for watching us on Verizon 32, everywhere in the Pittsburgh area, from Nemacolin to Cranberry Wexford. We appreciate all the likes on Facebook. We hit 6,400 and we're down to 6,389. So I don't know how we lost 11 likes, but we'll try to pump that back up again. We're holding steady there. We appreciate it. And for all the new folks watching us, I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip Hayner. We got Smoking Jim Frazier, our NFL scout, Steelers scout, model scout, TV producer in the city of Pittsburgh. And you name it, he does it.
And Mike Tomlin's favorite sports writer.
Well, Smoking Jim's not going to tell you about his coaching abilities. Maybe he will.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I'm sure I'll dig it out of him.
And I want to thank our sponsor for tonight's show, Olive Oil's Pizzeria in Hillcrest. Saw a couple people this week that watch our show and said they enjoy it. Met a new fan at Olive Oil's Pizzeria, and he goes, "Where do you do that show at?" I said, "Right in the BPTV studios next to the police station." So he goes, "I'm watching you tonight, so pleasure to meet you." And it was great pizza and a great hoagie. Call 412-831-1900. My guys that work there, Jay's gone and Zach's gone. So the two guys are off to another venture in their careers, but they're not there anymore. So Sarah's the one in charge. So give her a call, 412-831-1900, Olive Oil's Pizzeria. And we start our show off with What's on Your Mind, and we're going to do that right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
it's coming at you with
got to see Levine. The sun was in my eye, and I still caught it, man. Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of that high school playoff game last weekend.
My man.
You think the print's big enough?
Well, the Pittsburgh Sportsline college roundup of the week.
Hold it. So this is something new. I got to throw a flag on the play.
We got to start a flag. We got to give a little love to the local teams. KLU, ranked in the top 10 in the nation, started their playoff season with a 49-7 playoff victory. We expect them to win a national championship.
Congrats to your alma mater.
Live long and prosper.
California dreaming. But Penn State, number 9 in the country, 45-31 win over Indiana. We got Pitt, biggest upset of the week. Upset number 2, Clemson, 43-42. And last but not least, number 10 ranked in the country, West Virginia University, with an 8-1 record, 24-20 over Texas. And they say that there's no talent locally. That's a lie. All these guys got.
You've called it that way.
A lot of local
You
talent.
said there's local talent everywhere.
Right.
They just won't recruit them.
They won't recruit them, which is a problem. The Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week, honorable mention goes to West Allegheny, beating up on Woodland Hills 35-7.
Up at my old alma mater. That was at Baldwin.
Huh?
That was at Baldwin.
That was there?
Yeah.
Was Baldwin in this year? Not this year.
They just missed it.
Jim, I don't know if they've been in my lifetime. Okay.
They just missed it.
And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week goes to Seneca Valley, 28-27 victory over North Allegheny. And Seneca Valley will play for the WPIL championship against Central Catholic at Heinz Field on Friday.
How's that happen?
I know, what an upset. Pittsburgh
No,
Sportsline.
wait a minute. They're playing the championship games the week before
For the
Thanksgiving.
real schools, yeah. Now, the intramural schools.
Didn't they used to always play them the Friday after
Yeah, the
Thanksgiving?
intramural schools will be still playing that week, the day after Thanksgiving.
Well,
Intramural and
so
your
wait a minute. They're going to be playing
The
the
way you
games
call
on
it.
Friday. Well, people were at work, so the people can't really
I'll be
get
there.
out to see the
I'll
games.
be there.
He's not working.
It doesn't make any
But
sense to me.
the bigger games will be in the evening from 5 o'clock to
3A,
8 o'clock.
4A, or
Yeah,
or 2A.
5A and 6A.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about
Yeah,
the
double A, and I mean triple A and 4A they
Well, at
people
least with
get
the
worked in.
Triple A's, they got two Beaver County teams going at it. Isn't it Beaver Falls and Aliquippa?
And I think Beaver Falls will beat Aliquippa this year.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
You've had a player of the week each week.
Uh-huh.
We don't have one?
We got it this week. Here we go. Here we
I
go.
thought you threw something else in and
No.
we're
One,
done.
one last thing on that
Yeah.
Aliquippa
Uh-huh.
in Beaver Falls game. Aliquippa's made it to Heinz Field, I think, 10 years in a row.
This will
Did
be
they?
it. Yeah.
Wow.
They got 9 in a row right now.
Right. Something to celebrate the Rust Belt, which is Aliquippa.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Sports Line Player of the Week. Honorable mention has to go to Lamont Wade. Ran for 225 yards, scoring runs of 12, 50, 96, and he had a 101-yard interception return 1 week after knee surgery in the 48-8 victory over Fort Cherry.
Wow.
And in the
Who's the player?
In the intramural leagues. In the
According to you.
Pittsburgh Sports
There's
Line
no intramural football.
Player of the Week
It's disgraceful.
has to go to Pitt recruit and Pittsburgh Sports Line former guest Paris Ford from
Wow.
Steel Valley. Scored on offense, defense, and special teams. He rushed for 77 yards and 2 more touchdowns in a 50-14 blowout of Laurel. He scored on a 62-yard punt return, 32-yard interception, and runs of 20 and 57 yards. So Paris Ford, the Pitt recruit, is the Pittsburgh Sports Line Player of the Week this week.
So who's
Glad to hear that.
So who's going to Heinz Field? Keysport. Who they playing?
I can't wait. I'm cheering for West Allegheny to put it on them.
Are you?
Referees cheated.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I tell you, you just didn't pay them enough. You know, I hear that. I hear Gateway's
How
got the
much
best
more we got
refs.
to pay?
Hey, you know, Gateway's got the best refs money can buy. Huh?
They used to. They used to.
$20 bill don't go as far as it used to, right, Jim?
They gave him that at the beginning of the year. That's for all the games. It doesn't spread as far. Well, thanks, Smoking Jim. Now, Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, last weekend was quite an interesting weekend in sports. You know, being that I missed last weekend due to work-related issues, you know, got to tip our hats to the Chicago Cubs, breaking that 108-year curse,
Yeah.
you know, winning a World Series.
Chicago.
Yeah, and the Cleveland Indians,
Bulls.
just you can't seem to figure out that you have to win 4 games in a World Series. They do pretty well at winning 3. It's that 4th game that just seems to get by them all the time.
It's a tough one.
Unfortunately, down 3-1, the Cubs showed their mettle, and well, congratulations to the Windy City. Still doesn't make me like Chicago Cubs fans any less
You don't have to.
than I already did.
You don't have to.
But, you know, last weekend we had such an amazing weekend. Pitt pulled off I'd have to say, the upset of the year. I think this far outdistances Penn State's upset of Ohio
Oh.
State earlier in the year. I wouldn't have given Pitt any chance at all of beating Clemson.
My son Drew
in
predicted
Death
the
Valley.
win. He told me, "Are you watching the Pitt beat Clemson?" I go, "Drew, I'll watch the game with you, but I don't think it's happening."
Wow.
And towards the end of the game, it looked like they were losing it again and not going to be close. And it was just amazing.
I was working. I was in and out of my truck, and I was listening, picking up bits and pieces of the game on the radio, and I really couldn't follow what was going on. And by the time I got home just as Pitt scored, put up the score that made it 42-40. And I'm sitting there, and I wasn't paying attention. The next thing I know, I was like, "Wow, is Blewett kicking a field goal to win the game?" And I'm like, his new name.
You missed
now,
the kiss.
No, you know what? I
missed the
think
kiss that
he's
the
got a
coach gave it to
a new nickname for him. It's Chris Ditton, right? Chris Ditton Blewett.
I like that. I like that.
But you know, there was that. There was another debacle over at Heinz Field, orchestrated by lack of a Steelers defense. I hear people criticizing Kevin Colbert,
Everybody.
Mike Tomlin. I hear everybody criticizing everybody but the architect of the defense. And I think maybe he should get
He
some
brings it up.
accountability. I think Keith Butler should be on a very short leash for the last 7 games. And as a matter of fact, they should be sending out, people should be sending their resumes to the South Side, because this defense just isn't, there's no sign of improvement as the season has gone on. 9 games
It's the
in,
opposite.
9 games in, and we've got 13 sacks. That's just that's un-Steeler League football. We've wasted how many first-round draft picks? Jarvis Jones is the biggest bust in Steeler football history. I would think so. I think he makes Jermaine Stevens
Whoa, you're reaching back.
look like a good first-round pick.
I don't know about that.
But we've got a lot to talk about. Baseball football this week. Goings on in baseball, which I'll touch on in my segment in a little bit here. But that's all. Just a hodgepodge of everything that's going on.
I got to cover on the 2 subjects that you brought up since I watched. Unbelievable. Thanks, Chip. I appreciate it.
Jermaine Stevens.
What's on my mind is my son Drew said that Pitt was going to beat Clemson, and he picked some winners there, and sure enough, that happened. But one of the highlights is when Blewett missed a field goal earlier in the game, was distraught about it. Coach Narducci come over, gave him a hug, kissed him on the head. They smiled a little bit. Later on, he called on the kid again, kicked the 48-yard field goal to win the game. That was just fantastic, getting a win like that over number 2 in the country. So, very special.
Difference between the Pitt game and the Steeler game, Pitt left them 6 seconds.
Well,
The Steelers left them 41 seconds.
well, I'm glad you're bringing that up.
41 too many.
It seems like since they practice in the same facility where Smoking Jim eats his steaks, that they both have defensive trouble. And they actually want to have the ball at the end of each game. I advise Pitt and the Steelers to control the ball at the end. It doesn't always work out. Hence, I'm at the Bethel Bounty for the Bethel Park Community Foundation fundraiser, their biggest fundraiser of the year. And it so happened there's 18 restaurants, all kind of food, 300 people. Right where Eaton Park is, they're making their sweet treats and stuff. There's a big screen TV. So as I'm talking to people and eating, I got to watch parts of the game.
Wow.
Now it was over, and we're watching the end of the game. And it's the last couple minutes, and, Steelers are down. Then Big Ben makes that fake spike, gets a touchdown. Was just, some awesome stuff. But here's the shocking thing to me. I was like 6 feet away from the TV screen. I see the defensive line. I see Dallas lining up. I see Ezekiel go through the line, both lines, without getting hit by one hand. Not only did he do it once, he did it twice. It looked like they just waved him on. So, it was shocking to see our defense. That's a new low point in the last couple minutes to get 2 like 25-yard plus touchdowns up the middle.
And the
up the middle.
The signature
Up the
moment
middle.
of that second touchdown was the second string tight end for the Dallas Cowboys tossing Jarvis Jones to the side like he was a dish rag.
No, I was shocked. I'm a huge Steeler fan. I'm predicting 9-7 now. I was at 12-4. It does not look good. I'm an optimist about Cleveland. I hope they can right the ship and at least possess the ball more than Cleveland, and especially the last 5 minutes of the game, I'm hoping we control the ball. I'm very confident about that. But it was a shocking game to see it like that. It was great to come back, and not so great to let Dallas rookies do well. I can't go. I could go on and on, but I prefer not to. So enjoy the rest of our Steeler talk and sports talk, and That's what I was on, bugging me to the end, that I saw a great Pitt finish, saw a terrible Steeler finish. And now everybody's up in arms about getting rid of coaches and questioning Tomlin, who's got 10 years with 96 wins. And Colbert, they're all suspect, like Smoking Jim's been pointing out every draft. They're all quoting you now, Smoking Jim. You're on the cutting edge. Hey, and I wanted to announce that the quarterback for Keystone Oaks is going to be on our December 5th show at Hollywood Lanes. I couldn't wait to the segment to say it. I talked to him today,
All right.
and he's happy to be on our show. So we'll have some good QB talk there about their winning season at KO.
One of my favorite players.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I think he was a Progress Player of the Week
Yeah, yes, sir.
on Championship Chase.
And who picks them this year? I picked the players.
Now you come out of the woods and tell us.
I saw. I did win back the championship belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took it off of Brian Cook.
Oh.
They let you pick at the end. It's always nice the others pick before
I think I
you.
won again this week, I think.
I saw your picks. You picked Dallas, so you won. All right. That's for what's on our mind. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned a little bit, and I know you got the same thoughts as we do since you bleed black and gold if you're watching this show. We're going to do special segments right now. First one up is Fiction and Fact with Smoking Jim's Almanac. I can't wait to see how far back he's gone.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, just talking,
What'd you
almost
drop?
lost my transistor radio. I can't do that, bro. I can't do that. That's a throwback.
That's where you watch the Buck or listen to the Bucko
That's it,
games.
man. I haven't had that out since baseball season. But but we are talking about
Pinocchio, your nose is growing.
we were talking
Especially
about
that Bulls hat he's wearing. Why would you wear the Chicago Bulls hat?
Chicago Cubs.
There's no Cubs on that.
Well, Chicago, same
Okay.
thing.
No buy on that.
We were talking about Heinz Field earlier, Chip and Al Levine and Talking Machine and I, because the big time high school teams are playing football this weekend for
Sure.
the championship. So that takes me back to some games of yesteryear. Probably the greatest game.
How far back?
Probably the greatest game ever played in WPIL history, which was voted was when North Hills was rated #1 and Gateway was #3 in the nation. And Gateway beat them. Was probably the biggest crowd ever, biggest game ever. Second one.
Were you there?
Was voted. I was at the game.
Were you playing in the game?
Second one.
He's
was
too
voted,
old for that, Chip.
Second one was voted when Gateway in Central
Who votes
Catholic.
on these?
Central Catholic.
Who
when
votes on
I
these?
just looked at the top 25 list,
Okay.
today. In Gateway Central Catholic, when Central beat Gateway, when Gateway came back at the end, when Coach Harvey Smith called that hook and lateral, and Gateway cut the lead and almost won the game. But the best game that
Did you
I've
say
been,
almost?
huh?
Did you say almost?
Yeah, Central won that particular
Okay.
game.
Thanks for being honest.
Kind of like McKeesport did last weekend.
Yeah, sort of like, well, Central won the game. Yes, McKeesport was.
You don't have to
given the
say it
game.
again. I know it's
Yeah.
against your alma mater.
Yeah. So
Once is enough.
the game, the best game I ever seen in Heinz Field. I've been covering these games and eating free in the press box,
For a long
which
time.
will happen again this weekend when I'm there from 10 a.m. till 11 p.m. It'll be some good steaks against.
What, on Friday or Saturday?
Friday, yeah.
They give you a nice
Friday.
lot, big couch to lay on, take a nap.
Well, I don't need it. I work 3 days a year, but I'm gonna try to get my good night's sleep the day before. I'm just excited. It's hard to sleep the day before.
You don't sleep much
game.
anyhow, so don't worry about it.
So that's good. But the best game I ever seen down there was Triple A championship at Heinz Field when Hopewell had a sophomore by the name of Russell Shell. I think that was before he had any kids. And Russell
think
Shell
so.
put up 272 yards and 4 touchdowns. But the problem was West Allegheny had a junior white running back named Mike Caputo.
It took you like 22 minutes to designate what race they are.
that
Thank you.
Caputo put up 218 yards, 4 touchdowns, and it became an instant classic because as a final score ended up 36-28. Russell Shell totally ran out of gas. He was so tired they kept feeding him the football.
Well, he wasn't a hard worker.
And he fumbled. He fumbled late in the game, which was more out of exhaustion than anything else. And what a great game. Unfortunately for Mike Caputo, that was his junior year, and he ran for over 2,000 yards. I think Russell Shell ran for 2,700 that year. But the next year, Mike Caputo was going to have a big senior year in the first game of the season. They blew out his knee. Still got a scholarship to Wisconsin. Played well, moved to safety. Did a good job and had a tryout this year with the New Orleans Saints.
Really?
And then they sent him back to West Allegheny to do some coaching. So I talked to him. He's waiting on New Orleans to give him a call back, maybe. And I think they lost his number. But that's a fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. 2009, greatest game ever seen.
Wow.
Hopewell.
7 years ago.
Hopewell versus West Allegheny.
No, wait a minute. Russell Shell was in high school 7 years ago, and he still isn't out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a couple pit stops.
All right, that's just trying to make sure I understand the. Okay.
Timeline.
Yeah. Okay.
You got the
He
timeline.
was, he was just okay. 7 years ago, he was in high school,
I think he
and he
got.
still hasn't made it out of college.
Oh, he's working on it.
Okay.
He's at a good program with West Virginia.
Oh,
Great program.
maybe he followed Terrell Pryor's footsteps and said, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't leave school early." Hadn't worked out so well for Terrell, huh?
He wasn't able to.
Pryor's on pace for over 100 catches this year.
You could talk about
And he's
that.
going to play on a team that was 0-16. That'll be the second one in NFL history.
Yeah.
Something to hang your hat on.
Very interesting.
Got to find out if Drew is predicted Cleveland to win this weekend.
Nah, I think he's predicting the Steelers.
Okay.
Well,
Don't bet the house.
Well, just to say one thing about that. Now, this 2016 version of the Pittsburgh Steelers, they usually play the good teams well. And when they play bad teams on the road, what happens?
They lose more than they win.
Okay.
That's why I said I have a little trepidation about playing in
Oh,
Cleveland.
man, that was a 50-center right there.
I pulled it right
Yeah, I'm
out.
telling you, man. I'll give you. We'll get some change
Get
for you
that.
after
Get the
show.
quarters out.
Cleveland's closer to Hidden Vigorish.
Yeah.
Bob Prince was whispering in my ear. I was talking to a couple guys at the Bethel Bounty about the Hidden Vigorish. We're a little nervous about playing in Cleveland
You taught me
because of
about
Bob
it.
Prince.
You taught me about it.
You pulled it right out. When you win so many games, you get closer to losing. When you lose so many games, you get close to that win. Anything could happen. Let's go right down to Chip Hayner's trivia time.
Well, thank you, Alan. And all the major awards in baseball are being
Isn't there one being passed out
doled out
tonight?
today. Well, yeah, there's actually two. And Joe Madden did not win Manager of the Year.
Who did?
Dave Roberts of the Los Angeles Dodgers won the National League Manager of the Year. And New Brighton's own Terry Francona won the American League Manager of the Year award for his work with the Cleveland Indians. So congratulations to both of those. But that got me into thinking about the major awards in Major League Baseball, and which brought me to the Most Valuable Player Award,
a
which
good
has
award.
not yet been announced. And the Major League Baseball Most Valuable Player Award is an annual Major League Baseball award given to one outstanding player in the American League and one in the National League since 1931. It has been awarded by the Baseball Writers Association of America. The winners receive the Kennesaw Mountain Landis Memorial Baseball Award. And Kennesaw Mountain Landis was the very first commissioner of baseball, and he's the person that is responsible for banishing Shoeless Joe Jackson from baseball for being part of the 1919 Black Sox betting scandal.
And none of them were convicted in a court of law.
And he still has not been allowed to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So, Pete Rose, just think about this. It's been almost 100 years. Maybe your children's children
Shoeless.
might get to see you into the Hall of Fame in 100 years.
Shoeless didn't cheat, though, right? He didn't even know about it.
Well, you know, I mean, that's an interesting story to read. He was not a
wasn't
very
convicted.
he wasn't a very educated man,
Right.
and he got taken advantage of by people, and ultimately he became the scapegoat for the entire incident, which was
He actually had a good batting average.
Truly
and had
true-
great hits in the game.
13 years in the major leagues, and I believe he had almost a 340 batting average over his career. He was certainly a worthy Hall of Fame.
His rookie season, 405 batting average.
Really?
But the voting for the most valuable player award takes place before the postseason, and the results aren't announced until after the World Series. And there is no clear-cut definition of what most valuable player means. They leave that up to the sports writers. And at this point in the MVP award, there's 2 writers from each city that has a Major League Baseball team that votes on the on the award
I'm going
winners.
to apply for that job.
You're right.
You'd never make it with the BBWAA. First basemen with 34 winners have won the most MVPs among infielders. Probably because it's the easiest position to play, huh? Ask Pedro. Followed by second baseman with 16, third baseman with 15, and shortstops with 15. Of the 24 pitchers who have won the award, 15 are right-handed, 9 are left-handed. Walter Johnson, Carl Hubble, and Hal Newshouser are the only pitchers who have won multiple times, Newhouser winning consecutively in 1944. Wow. 1945.
That's amazing.
And just a couple of other things here too. Hank Greenberg, Stan Musial, Alex Rodriguez, and Robert Yount have won the award at different positions, while Alex Rodriguez is the only player who has won the award with 2 different teams at 2 different positions.
Wow.
Barry Bonds has won the most often. He's won 7 awards, the most consecutively, 2001 through 2004. Jimmy Fox was the first player to win multiple times. 9 players have won 3 times. 19 have won twice. Frank Robinson is the only player to win the award in both the American and National Leagues.
Wow.
The award's only tie occurred in the National League in 1979 when Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell
I remember that.
received an equal number of points. There have been 17 unanimous winners who received first place votes. The Yankees have the most winning players with 22, followed by the St. Louis Cardinals with 17. The only 4 teams that have never had an MVP award winner are the Arizona Diamondbacks, Miami Marlins, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the New York Mets.
Wow.
But that kind of gives you a brief summation of what the MVP award is now. But prior to 1931, awards were awarded that were the predecessors of the MVP award. And the first award that was given from 1911 to 1914 was called the Chalmers Award.
Chalmers.
Before the 1910 season, Hugh Chalmers of Chalmers Automobile announced he would present a Chalmers Model 30 automobile to the player with the highest batting average in Major League Baseball at the end of the season.
That's like
The
a Ford.
1910 race for the best average in the American League was between the Detroit Tigers' widely disliked Ty Cobb
I like that.
and Nap Lajoie of the Cleveland Indians. On the last day of the season, Lajoie overtook Cobb's batting average with 7 bunt singles against the St. Louis Browns. American League President Ban Johnson said a recalculation showed that Cobb had won the race anyhow. Chalmers ended up awarding cars to both players. The following season, he created the Chalmers Award, but it did not provide the advertising revenue that he had hoped for, so the award was discontinued in 1914. And the 4 winners of the Chalmers Award, which was the first MVP award in Major League Baseball, was 1911, Ty Cobb, 1912, Tris Speaker, the Big Train, Walter Johnson in 1913, and Eddie Collins in 1914. So there were awards that were given out from the years of 1922 to 1929. It was called the League Awards. And here, the base in 1922, the American League created a new award to honor the baseball player as the greatest all-around service to his club. Winners were voted on by a committee of 8 baseball writers, chaired by James Crusenberry, received a bronze medal and a cash prize. Voters were required to select one player from each team, and player coaches and prior award winners were ineligible.
Wow.
These incredible flaws resulted in Babe Ruth only winning 1 MVP. As the award was dropped after 1928, under the All-Star formula, Ruth would have won the MVP in 1920, 1921, 1923, 1925, 1928, 1930. But because he only won, so the year that he broke the home run record and hit 60 home runs, Babe Ruth was not the league MVP. The winners of the...
he hit more home runs than all the other teams.
Yep. The League Awards winners for the American League, George Sisler, Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson in 1924, Roger Peckinpah, George Burns in 1926,
The comedian.
of the Cleveland Indians, and Lou Gehrig
I didn't know he played.
of the New York Yankees in 1927, Mickey Cochran in 1928.
Wow.
You had 2 winners in the National League. Rogers Hornsby won twice, once playing for the Cubs, once playing for the Cardinals. Dazzy Vance, Bob O'Farrell, Paul Wainer of the Pittsburgh Pirates won the award
Nice.
in 1927. In 1927, it's interesting that a Yankee won in the American League and a Pirate won it in the
And they played in the World
They
Series.
played in the World Series, and the 27 Yankees swept the Pirates in 4 games. So
They were the best team
they were the
ever,
best team
possibly.
of all time. Yes. So you know what? To make it to the World Series that year and to get swept by the Murderers Row New York
Was an honor.
Yankees, yeah, it sure was. So that's what I got for you for my trivia this week. A little history of the Baseball MVP Award.
Thank you, Chip. We appreciate it. I learned something.
Good job, buddy.
That's very good. Well, we'll talk about our on locations. First, I'd like to put a brochure out about the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. This is Joey Fabus before DIPG and during it, and he didn't make it to his 9th birthday. If you could donate to this great cause to try to find out what caused this DIPG brain cancer, all the money goes to research. It's a great cause. Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. We end the show with Stay Joey Strong. Then I was talking about this event on Sunday night, and it's with the Bethel Park Community Foundation. I'm a trustee on the board. This was the biggest event of the year that they do for fundraising. It was great. The people in charge were fantastic. Everybody loved it. It was at Crown Plaza for the first time up there, and we may be back next year. We'll see what happens. You can get from $100 to $5,000 for your organization in Bethel Park that you're doing in the community to help kids and other people. So check it out, and it's all for a great cause. Go online, bpcf.org, get an application, and apply for it. So check it out. Now, we were at Atria's PNC Park last night. I think we had 20 guests. I'm not sure. It was close to it. But we had a team from Penn Hills, and Harvey Smith Jr. is the offensive coordinator. He's doing great things there. 2 of his sons were at the show. They're just great guys. All the other sophomores there, they're predicting championships the next 2 years, so check out Penn Hills. They got the team, and it was an earth-breaking moment when Smokin' Jim was applauding Penn Hills and agreeing that they could win 2 championships. Now, Smokin' Jim may go to another neighborhood like Gateway and say the same thing, but you know, Harvey's his man, and he gave what an introduction to Harvey Smith.
Thank you, sir.
I'm fact checking it now, and they were all factual. Everything was factual that you threw out there. And Harvey's just a great coach, and what he puts out there for what the players have to do well in school. They got to be character guys, and plus they produce on the field, which is quite the show they're putting on. So it was just awesome to have them. I had a gentleman travel the farthest away to come to Pittsburgh Sportsline. From Los Angeles, Douglas Kavanaugh is a surfer. He's a boxing historian, and he noticed 7 years ago that there's no Pittsburgh boxing books. He wrote a book that's coming out in the spring. He's going to get Smokin' Jim and I copies because there's plenty of pictures in there for Smokin' Jim. He talks about Rooney's, McGinley's, Gus Greenlaw, a lot of people out there, the owner of the Pittsburgh Crawfords, and just unbelievable stuff. We had a great conversation. He opened it up, and then we had a second guest from Championship Chase. She's one of the hosts. Liz Costa showed up. Got a nice interview with her, and it's always a pleasure having her on the show. Watch Championship Chase. Smokin' Jim, when's that on? At 1:30 in the morning?
1:30, Channel 11, right after Saturday Night Live and the Jerome Bettis show.
Wow, it's right after the Jerome Bettis show. I catch part of that because I film it on the DVR. So I watch it Sunday morning. I enjoy the show, and just veering off a little with Championship Chase. Smokin' Jim was the award-winning pick in the winning teams last year. Brian Cook was winning each week, I think. Smokin' Jim took the belt off of him this past week. Congrats to my co-host here. He's just unbelievable.
Thank you, sir.
And he may have 2 in a row since I saw his picks. He even picked Dallas. He didn't lower himself to pick the Steelers on that. So, still can't believe those 2 runs, not even touched at the end.
Touched.
Not one hand on them. Not even slapping them. And then I hear news today, Cam Hayward was hurt in the game, asked to come out. He tore his pectoral muscle or something, or
Tore his pectoral muscle. He's done for the season.
he's done for the year.
So he leads the team with 3 sacks. So they lost.
It's shocking.
25% of their sack total for the season is gone.
I can't even wrap my mind around it. Well, that was part of our show. We had great guests. The Reed family was there, just awesome with what Christine's done.
Yes, sir.
And she's in the military, just fantastic. So it was a pleasure interviewing all the people we had on the show. And we'll be back there in 2 weeks on the 28th of November. We'll be back there. And stay tuned for the Keystone Oaks quarterback, Alex Smith, on December 5th at Hollywood Lanes. So we'll be out there in the public. Check us out. You're more than welcome to come to the show and enjoy what we do there as we film for an hour. So see you 7 o'clock, November 28th.
Big thanks to Jeff, too, coming out in our film.
Yeah, Jeff did a nice job filming.
Did a great job.
Yep, thought he was going to be here tonight.
Took some nice pictures for us.
I posted all those.
Yeah, they were good.
Except your Sweeties photos. You did that privately. So the Sweeties for Jimmy are alive and well. I don't know how he does it. Our man Skip Atkins goes, how does Smokin' Jim get all those beautiful women in those photos? I said he asked. So that's what goes on. We've talked a little bit about the Steelers lately. We got to get the expert NFL scouts' opinions of this team. Smokin' Jim,
the floor is
lead
yours.
the way, man.
The floor is yours.
I'll try to be brief.
No. Go ahead. Take 2 minutes.
You know, I talked about a couple years ago that Keith Butler shouldn't have been defensive coordinator. I caught a lot of heat when I said that. Guy was 40-year linebacker coach, and you got to have a certain amount of vision to be a defensive coordinator. That's why, John Mitchell stayed in his lane as a defensive line coach for about 50 years. That's all he ever will be, and that's all he ever was. And Butler should have stayed as a linebacker coach. There's no adjustments made after halftime. Coach Tomlin got to take a lot of heat. 2 of the worst safeties ever seen play in the NFL. Robert Gould, and how he still has a job after the last 3 weeks. He's taken worse angles to get to the football than Tony Dorsett's son used to do when he played in the league. You got to bench him. It's time I would sit Mitchell down too. I would play Dangerfield. I play Shamarko Thomas, even though after 3 years he still don't know the system, but he hustles on special teams. And I play the young rookie, Davis. You have to start doing something. Chicolo is a beast out there.
Yeah, he looks good.
He has to continue to play. James Harrison is still your best outside linebacker. And the thing that happened, and I'll finish after this, just to show you how, how bad things have gotten. When you can't, Jarvis Jones, Robert Golden, those guys are liabilities on the football field, and here's why. On that last play, I didn't watch the game, but I did watch that last play. And the Pittsburgh Steelers called a corner blitz, but you got to disguise that. So you got the right corner coming on the blitz. Because of that, the safety has to go to the side of the corner in case you throw deep.
Sure, you got to
So
cover.
he has to cover. So in that situation, the end man on the line of scrimmage, which is Jarvis Jones, has to go inside that man. He has to even cheat a little bit and shade on the inside.
He didn't get there in time.
So he makes sure he goes to the inside.
He didn't get there in time.
Jarvis Jones gets blocked outside, which opens that lane, and there's no safety behind it. That was all on Jarvis Jones.
There wasn't
he
a
would
hand
never
even
play
on him.
another down. And I'm assuming it would, if I go back and watch the film, which I'll do that tonight, I assume that on most of the touchdown runs on Jarvis Jones' side, it was his fault for giving. And I think that's what Ben been talking about was undisciplined players.
Do you think it's right that Ben comes out and says this stuff now?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I think it's right. Because you know what? Because the coach isn't taking these players to task. Nobody's getting benched, okay? And the sad thing is that there isn't anybody better to put out there.
Well, that's what I wanted to say.
That's
So
true.
we've spent
They can't
all this
replace
time and money on drafting offensive players, and this is supposed to have been one of the most prolific offenses in the history of the NFL. I believe there's at least 5 games where they haven't even scored 20 points. Okay, so prolific. I don't believe so. We've got people that don't run the right routes. Here you've got the best receiver in football that you've got the ball in his hands with no time left on the clock, and he just decides to say, the hell with it. I'm going to run out of bounds and end the game because I don't feel like doing this anymore. I mean, that guaranteed
I
them
think he had
a
11
loss.
catches, though.
But and
I'm
here's
kidding,
here's the thing: if he laterals it back, he loses yards on his statistics. So is he that cognizant of his statistics that he's willing to make the team sacrifice? I mean, the chances were 99% that we weren't going to do anything there. But there is that one chance. I mean, Jim, you saw the Gateway McKeesport game last week, right? There is a chance that you can score on a flea flicker with no time left on the clock. It does happen. Not often, but it does happen.
Yeah.
But, you've got... this is what my take is on what's going on with the Steelers, and I'm not trying to be funny, but it seems like there's no leadership on the team. There's no leadership from the management. There's no leadership from the coaching staff, and certainly the players that are supposed to be the leaders on the field certainly aren't leading by example. And nobody's taking anybody to task for, the same mistakes that they were making in training camp, they're making in the 9th game of the season. That's just, you can't win football. I honestly, the NFC North or the AFC North is so terrible that the Steelers still have a chance to win the division.
Very good chance.
And
They're alive. They're alive.
But I mean, other than maybe possibly winning the division and taking a one and done in the playoffs this year, I don't see the Steelers of having a chance to move any further than out of the first round of the playoffs.
Well, let's see if they can even make it because the 2 wild cards are going to come out of the West there. Look at the games that, Kansas City got 7 wins, Oakland got 7 wins. It's
And can't count out the Broncos, but
they got 7 wins.
It's just it's frustrating. Of course, 4 losses in a row. This is not something that Steeler fans handle well. And of course, everybody's calling for Tomlin and everybody else to be fired. And it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of.
First of all, Steelers do not make irrational firings.
You know, I mean,
They've only had 3 head coaches since 1969.
right. So I mean,
that's not even a possibility.
but it's it all begins and ends with Mike Tomlin, and at some point, you know what, there has been no improvement in the defense. I don't want to hear about, well, we've got young players, we've had injuries. Every single team in the NFL has young players, and they have
hurt.
injuries. Hey, guess what? There's 2 rookies on the Dallas Cowboys that are probably going to the Pro Bowl, Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. These guys are rookies. They've never played in the NFL, and they're tearing up the league.
Yeah.
Tony Romo, I think they found the spot he's best suited for, and that's on the bench.
He looks good with the
You
headset
know
on.
what? I thought for sure that they were going to start Romo, and that was going to be our godsend. That was going to help us to win the game, because Romo would have thrown a pick,
Or two.
right at the end. But it's very disturbing to see that we keep talking about, well, we need to be on our details. We need to be, well, okay. I hear this week after week after week, and we hear the same thing. And this is an old record, and I'm tired of listening to it. So.
And they do lack leaders, because you can see it. That's why I'm glad that Big Ben's speaking up. That's why I asked your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I think he has to. He's out there performing the best he can. He's had a couple bad games. We know that. So Philadelphia and against New England.
We have too many guys that are worried about me instead of worrying about a team. Because it takes 11 people all working together to make the offensive work and to make the defenses work. And and if one person's got their head up their butt and not paying attention, I mean,
it happens.
And Jim called this on draft day when he was drafted. He said he was a bust. He had no business drafting this guy. They should not allow Jarvis Jones to suit up again this season. I'm sorry. Activate Bud Dupree. Tell Jarvis Jones your services are no longer needed. I don't think we have to worry about anybody snatching him up. We can find him out. We can put him on the practice squad.
I don't think it's going to happen, Chip. You could be wishful like that. You got a chuckle out of smoking Jim Frazier, since he likes being right. Slow Jones is what he
I'll
called.
call him out when he's wrong, but when he's right about something, I'm going to give him his props.
Thank you, sir.
He said Jarvis Jones was a waste of a number 1 draft pick.
But he did great in the SEC.
Well, that was great. That was like playing. That's like playing in kindergarten.
And that's
now you're going into. Now, the Steelers, again, this year are going to have to waste a draft pick on another linebacker.
Be the 4th one in 5 years.
Right. And
That's what they do.
And they haven't hit on one yet.
They're struggling a little bit. Come on.
Lawrence Timmons is the guy plays with a lot of heart, and he was an all-pro linebacker for a number of years. He's a step slow. The game's passing him by.
Yeah.
It's not that the guy knows the defense. He's just physically not able to
get there.
to keep up with the speed of the game right now. And James Harrison, the fact that that he's the best linebacker, outside linebacker that you have.
I thought he had that half a sack, the tie. They didn't give it to him.
Nah.
They gave 2 at the whole sack.
Yeah, Tua deserved it.
Yeah, well, they should have given it back after he let Ezekiel Elliott run straight up the middle. Did you realize that the Steelers have absolutely no depth on the defensive line? Losing Cam Hayward for the rest of the year, they haven't been able to stop the run. Even when he's in there.
And he even criticized how they were playing
Yeah.
when he was watching these games.
Yeah, he sure did.
He spoke right up.
And I hope while he's healing his pectoral muscle, that he's in that locker room and he's got his foot and he's planting it in some people's hinds end, because he knows what it takes. I mean, it's a sad thing when Cam Hayward is the best player you've got on your defense. Can anybody remember, other than in the 70s, when the best player in the Steelers' defense was on the defensive line?
Joe Green.
That was
Joe
Green.
When he turned the franchise around
right.
individually.
But I mean, usually the high-impact players in Steelers' defenses have always been the outside linebackers. And then when Rod Woodson was playing corner, then you had Rod back there that could cover.
But it's sad to hear that
You're right.
The state we're in right now.
Well,
It
and
truly is.
you know what? The answers to
And
that
James
they're
Harrison,
looking for. They're in their room. It's in the room. They just need to all get together, and everybody needs to pay attention. You know, Ben, on his interview today, he said some guys, you know, they're getting ready to sound the horn for everybody to huddle up, and there's guys that haven't even made it onto the field where they're calling for a huddle. You know, it's like, you know,
Yeah,
where's your commitment? Where is your commitment? And maybe Tomlin's message just isn't getting through with them. But I'll tell you how you get their message through to them. Start cutting a few people. Drop some salaries.
Belichick does that all the time.
Belichick does it all the time. And what's he do? Wins 11 games a year.
Ask Jamie Collins.
Yeah, he was looking good.
And he wins. And what's he average? 11 wins a year?
Yeah.
With Brady,
Yeah, with Brady.
Maybe there's some room on the bench. They can sit a couple guys down. Let them sit
There's some
there.
room.
I think he could find a spot or two. Anything else on Steelers you want to bring up?
But I think it's a shame that the second best receiver on your team is on the practice squad a couple weeks ago. And like Chip's saying, that's not paying attention to detail. I said all along that Sammy Coates was a one-trick pony.
Well, here he's got 2 broken fingers, they come out and said.
Yeah, he must have broken fingers at Auburn, too, because he didn't run no pass routes there either. But this, who's this, Kobe or whatever, 83, he's
Yeah.
he's the one making plays, man.
Hey, he
was a
started
practice
catching. He
squad
started
guy.
catching balls, and I'm yelling, Heath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's worth it.
And hopefully,
The Darius
Green will come
He looked
around.
like he looked.
He's
They bring him in and he
6'6".
dropped that ball on the first pass
Yeah,
they threw
that
to
But,
him.
touchdown,
but
yeah.
you know, the fact that he was there and almost
Yeah.
made the play. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy's a presence. He's what, 6'5", 6'6"?
6'6". And
Yeah.
then you got 6'7" Jesse James. So,
Yeah.
you know, they got some big boys at tight end, you know.
But you know, what were your thoughts? Okay, granted, you know, the Steelers have been known to go for 2, but 4 times and come up with nothing.
Arrogance. They're arrogant. They're arrogant. It's an arrogant coaching staff, arrogant offense, and it hurt them. You know, it's football. Kick it. Kick the extra point. That's what they're there for. Free. That's a free
That'd have been
point.
4 more points.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I mean, 4 more points would have made a difference. You know, sure, if they would have scored all 8, yeah, that would have been a big difference in the game. But you know, the fact was,
Without a doubt.
after the first one, it was like, you know what, we're going to keep doing this until we get one right. I don't care if we scored 10 touchdowns. You know, and
It's stubbornness in a bad way.
you know, it's just, you know, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, there's such high hopes going into this season, and there's one thing I think that they've proven after 9 games is they don't have a chance in hell of winning the Super Bowl this year. They just don't.
Maybe they could turn it around. Let's be hopeful that
Oh,
they
you know
can in
what?
Cleveland.
I wrote
Find
off-
the magic.
I wrote off the Penguins last December in January, and look what happened.
Wow.
Maybe I could be wrong again.
I'm a little bit hopeful there. We'll try it again with you, Chip. You're doing the opposite.
Hey, you know, sometimes reverse psychology, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's got people interested there. Let's go to your baseball talk. We've got about 5 minutes left.
Well,
Let's
I've
see
got
if you
about
can
5
get the
minutes.
baseball in.
So the
Come
things
on.
have started kind of slow, and one of the first things that happened this year that has never happened in any other year is that players actually took the offer that the teams
Oh, yeah.
gave them. The same Neil Walker accepted a $17.2 million one-year
Yeah.
contract, and a smart move for him because, you know, as a free agent, he's not going to get a big money contract after just having surgery on his back. So what's he do? He's getting 17.2 for 1 year, gets to play himself back into shape, and then cash in at the end of next year
Yeah.
after he's shown that he's able
Be
to
up
make
for
it through
bid.
the year. So smart move for Neil. There's still, you know, I look for trades to be made. We'll see what happens as
Look
far
what
as
they said about McCutcheon and the trade with Washington, possibly. It was put out there.
The trade was put out there before the trade deadline last year.
Right.
And, you know, Neil Huntington has always said that he will sit and listen to trade talks with any player on that roster because he says, if I have made an offer that I feel that would be in the best interest of this team now and moving forward, he will listen to it. Apparently, they didn't offer him what he was
Enough.
looking for
Right.
in return. And if that's the case, I'm just telling you right now, I have a feeling Andrew McCutchen is going to put up another MVP caliber season next year. I think he's going to bounce back after the year he's had this year. He's a very prideful player, and he is one of the 5 best players in Major League Baseball right now. And I think he's going to come back big next year.
I'm in that camp too.
You know, so I mean,
I'm
you know,
not.
well,
Good.
you never were.
We don't want you in there. You
Yeah,
can't get in
yeah.
on this bandwagon.
I was proud of the haircut.
No, you weren't. Oh, yeah.
No, but
Not really.
you know, we'll see what happens. There's still a lot of winter left to go, and there's going to be moves that are going to be made. There's going to be trades that are going to be made, and the Pirates.
The fireside chats will open up a couple things.
The Pirates,
Definitely.
the Pirates will be a different team on opening day next year than the team that left the field.
Well, they do
at the end
need
of this
starting
year.
pitching, so
There's no question.
that's one of the things they
There
will
is
be
no
working
question.
on.
There
there's,
is no
there's
question.
no doubt they have to,
And if
because
they
we
have-
can't listen to Smoke and Jim say their starting pitching sucks. They're not going to win anything, and then that's what happened.
No, you know they took a gamble last year, and Jim knows about taking a gamble because
Yeah, he suffered
he
that.
has to avoid his friend Macaroni Tony. You know, but say sometimes you roll the dice and you throw a 7 or you throw an 11, and then there's times where you throw craps. And
He's done that.
This is hey, he's had success and he's had failure. Let's see what he does now.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I drank that Kool-Aid
Hey,
a few years ago.
I've already got half my season ticket package paid for next year. So
There you go. You can't beat that.
no,
We'll get the Chip Hayner
I-
Pittsburgh
hey,
Pirate reports.
I will be down there, on a regular basis. I tell you what, in the summertime, spring, not a better way to spend an evening than at the
agree.
ballpark.
I agree.
It's a nice venue.
It is. It's a nice and it's a nice atmosphere. You could bring your family around.
Smoking Jim around,
You don't have a bunch of drunks falling all over the place.
swearing like crazy.
And you don't have to stay for the whole game and still have fun.
You can come there late too. Leave early.
I tell you what, I get you to a game this year. I'm gonna find a way to hobble you, so you can't run out.
Take a shoe off him.
Yeah.
Chip, grab a shoe. Smoking Jim, what do you got going on this weekend? Don't we have
Well,
something?
Well, I tell you what,
You
real
got Friday.
quick,
You're busy.
Friday, man, just the games. Aliquippa and Beaver Falls go at it at 11 o'clock in the morning. Get all those Beaver County folks out of Pittsburgh early. 5A West Allegheny and McKeesport should be a good game. Nobody wants to see Central Catholic and Seneca Valley, but I'll stick around for that. And whoever TJ plays, I can't remember, they'll blow them out.
Very good, Smoking Jim. And then we got boxing at the Wheeling
That's right, I forgot about that.
Casino.
And,
We'll be at the casino in West Virginia.
Jim, make sure you take your heavy coat because they said there could be some snow flying this weekend.
It'll be hot.
But Friday, it's going to hit 70.
Really? Wow, that's great.
Friday, 70 degrees.
Friday, I'll have the air conditioner on. Sunday, I'll be building a fire.
And if you just move to Pittsburgh, this is what happens with Pittsburgh weather. We enjoy it, and we'll see what happens. And thanks for watching the show. Thanks, Devin Shea, and whoever come in to help you. Hope somebody did. Thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier, Chip Hayner. Appreciate your input. Learned a lot of stuff today. Most of what I didn't know that I needed to learn. So I appreciate
There
it,
you
Chip.
go. I had to try to find my nuggets.
And I just like to end the show with thanks, everybody, for watching, and stay Joey strong.